Hi everyone. This video is about money and groups in the political process. Specifically, we're going to talk about special interest groups here. And special interest groups have risen in importance and significance and power in the last few decades, but specifically within the last decade itself. And so they've become extraordinary players in the political process, much more so than they ever had been prior to 2011. So a special interest group is one that has a particular political goal in mind. It's not a political party. It does not run candidates for campaigns, but what it does is supports particular candidates or parties, depending on their ideological bent. And so a special interest group would, for example, create a political action committee. That would be the legal arm of the special interest group. And that PAC, as it's known, would create ads that would run in support of, or more commonly, in a derogatory fashion about a candidate. So typically these ads, more than 90% of the time, are done to denigrate candidates as opposed to support their preferred candidate. And this has really added to a lot of negativity in American politics because you've seen considerably more, vastly more ads that are negative than you ever saw before 2011. So special interest groups have really become extraordinarily powerful. Now there's a link, you may want to cut and paste that below the title, to a video in which Stephen Colbert, who you guys will recall was he had a comedian, he was a comedian in a late night talk show. Now I think he does just a regular talk show. But back when he did the Colbert Report, he played a character that was, really ridiculous and always getting into trouble. And in this case, he was getting into trouble by creating a political action committee. And it's pretty extraordinary, showing off the possibilities that exist for PACs. But putting PACs aside just for a moment, when you're running a campaign, obviously you're going to need money so that you can get your message out there, so people will know who you are, what you plan to do, what your platform is, all that. And so you will need campaign funding, and that traditionally has come in two different fashions: hard money or soft money. Hard money is just money that you give directly to a candidate. It's very simple. It is not hard. It's not challenging to understand at all. Basically, if I see candidate A and I think I like candidate A, I'm going to give candidate A $10. That's hard money. I donate it directly to that person's campaign. Hard money also includes any campaign gear that you might buy. So if you buy like a MAGA hat or a Biden shirt, then you're going to be considered contributing to a campaign via hard money. And that would just be considered a direct donation. Soft money is where things get more squirrely, and that's where most campaign funds come from now, is soft money. Soft money means that money has gone from one person to another group or individual before being used to support a campaign. You can send soft money through traditional soft money routes that are considered more acceptable, like if you donate to your party, for example, and then the party donates to a candidate. That's okay within certain limits that are set by law. It's when you start seeing money being funneled to special interest groups that you lose track of where that money is going. And so soft money is definitely harder to track. Now, if you do want to track campaign donations, you can go to the Federal Election Commission website, fec.gov, and you can check any candidate or any special interest group, any political action committee that you want to. It's all compiled there. An easier way to access that, though, fec.gov is good, but it is not that user-friendly. I would check out opensecrets.org. They compile the data from FEC, and it's just much more easily searchable there. Same data, just easier to access. So public funding has long been an advantage in presidential races. Public funding means that there is a collection of money available to political candidates who are representing a major party if they want to take that. And public funding itself was utilized heavily up until 2008. No candidate has accepted it since 2012. President Obama, then Senator Obama, was the first to decline public funding. And that was because he was able to raise a lot of money in small donations, a lot of hard money, without taking the public funding. If you take the public funding, you are limited to the amount that you have there, and it's something or now like $84 million, which is a lot of money, but it is you're limited to that. Now campaigns run into the hundreds of millions of dollars. Presidential campaigns the last 2 times have topped billions. So that is, even though it's a lot of money, public funding, it can limit you. So now fundraising is really the key for campaigns. And we saw something unique in the 2020 Democratic nomination cycle. It's now known as the Warren effect, named after Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, who was the first to do this. She declared in the primary that she would not accept money from special interest groups or political action committees. She would not she did not want their support. Or she also did not want them to denigrate any of the other candidates in the race or across the aisle. And that was a pretty bold maneuver. When she announced it, I thought, okay, this is going to be interesting because it's either going to be the new wave of politics or it's going to fail spectacularly. I was wrong on both counts there. It may or may not be the new wave of politics. There is no way that Trump is going to not accept campaign funding from special interest groups because he gets so much money and so much support from them. Biden also gets a great deal of support from special interest groups, and so it's not something that's going to continue into the general. It may continue in the future. As far as being the wave of the future, probably not. In terms of crash and burn, she actually did really well, especially with fundraising. Her fundraising prowess was impressive. People liked the idea of grassroots. She just didn't win enough votes. So that's the Warren effect. It came about because of some changes politically, some legislative changes in Supreme Court rulings. So back in 2000, campaign finance reform was a hot button issue on the political radar. And so the bill that's listed below, McCain-Feingold, BCRA stands for Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act. Senator McCain and Senator Feingold were the two senators who introduced this bill, and it's bipartisan, McCain Republican, Feingold Democrat. And the goal was to put limits on donations to campaigns. Okay, so it limited the ability of people and groups to donate just lots and lots of money to campaigns. Basically, it meant that now, let's say I have $1 million. Cool. I'm a teacher. Where did this $1 million come from? And I want to donate it to a political campaign of my choice. Before McCain-Feingold, I could have done that. And they address this legislatively because it can be challenging if somebody who is very wealthy makes lots and lots of donations to a candidate. If that candidate then gets elected and say they want to sign a bill and the wealthy donor says, I don't want you to sign that bill, they might be beholden. So that is a particular challenge with extensive, heavy levels of donation. And so McCain-Feingold sought to put limits on that. So at the time, the limit was $2,000 per individual for one person, say me, to donate to a political candidate of my choice, and then a limit of $5,000 to the party. And that was scaled to increase with inflation every year. Now it's up to $2,600, so up to for inflation. But a significant portion of that bill was overturned by a Supreme Court ruling in 2011. And this was, if you are 25 or under, the most significant Supreme Court ruling of your lifetime. And I know that sounds weird. You're like, what? It's not about abortion or gun control? It's about campaign finance? That's boring. It's so impactful. The Citizens United decision ultimately granted organizations, special interest groups, the PAC arm of a special interest group, the ability to make almost unlimited funds available to whatever purpose they want to utilize them for. So they can, for example, put out attack ads all day long without financial restrictions. Citizens, regular people, are still not permitted to go beyond the individual limitations. And so what this really did was give massive corporations the ability to super charge their special interest groups, their PAC arm of that special interest group. And that's where we've seen this funneling of just so many billions of dollars into campaigns. In 2012, we had a very expensive campaign. Citizens United had just been passed, and so it was not really impacted. 2016, we saw spending on campaigns or on the race itself, not necessarily by candidates, I just mean total spending, increased by 16 times what we'd ever seen before. That's insane. And the levels of access were just so extraordinary. For example, in August of 2016, over 80% of Americans reported having seen a negative ad produced by President Trump, or then candidate Trump. And the only problem with that was that he hadn't put out any TV ads at all yet. Okay, those ads had all come from special interest groups, from PACs, and so you are seeing. You saw in 2016 the very first really experience of a campaign or of a presidential campaign with the now freedoms of Citizens United granted to large corporations. So pretty extraordinary. Definitely check out the YouTube ad. It gives a little bit more of the message, and Colbert's funnier than me, so I know how it is.